changes of Asian stock markets. WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Grace to Power. My name is Mohammed Saleh. Now, Tariq Rahman is the new Prime Minister in Bangladesh. But the question is obviously this: will he be able to now turn the tide and overcome the diplomatic challenges that were spawned under Muhammad Yunus, who in his tenure as the caretaker chief advisor had led the equation sour? And in the United States of America, the nation is mourning over the loss of one of its most prominent voices of civil rights. Jesse Jackson, the Baptist minister activist and also the long-time champion of racial justice, was passed away at the age of 84. But let's of course start with this big story from Bangladesh, where Bangladesh has now got its first elected government after the ouster of Sheikh Hasina. The BNP chairman, Tariq Rahman, has been sworn in as the country's new prime minister after 17 years of exile to pinnacle of power. Tariq Rahman is carrying the legacy of his mother Khalida Zia and her party, the BNP. Now, Tariq Rahman has taken the oath of office and also finalized his team. A total of 25 ministers took the oath alongside him. The list has representation from Bangladesh's minority Hindu community as well. The veteran BNP leader Nitai Roy Chaudhary will join Rahman's new government. The BNP is returning to power after a gap of nearly 20 long years, and the enthusiasm reflected amongst its lawmakers. However, the BNP MPs and ministers have decided not to take the government's allotted plots and cards. Now, earlier in the day, the 13th National Assembly of Bangladesh took oath, and amongst the members was Hasnat Abdullah, a prominent leader of the July uprising, which led to Sheikh Hasina's ouster. He took oath as a parliamentarian while also wearing the same colours that he had worn during the protests. Now, the oath for the National Assembly were followed by the swearing in of the Constitutional Reform Council, and as soon as the proceedings began for the second oath-taking, the independent MP Rumeen Farhana and BNP's Ishraq Hussain staged a walkout from the Assembly. The BNP has confirmed that none of its lawmakers will take the oath for the Constitutional Reform Council. Now, Tariq Rahman faces two major challenges as he is preparing to take over, as he has taken over as Bangladesh's new Prime Minister. Firstly, he must address the issue of an increase in violence in the country that was witnessed over the course of the last few months. Now, remember, Bangladesh has witnessed a certain amount of rise in political violence and violence against the minorities after Sheikh Hasina's ouster. Secondly, Rahman will have to stabilize the country's relations with India. Now, Tariq Rahman has signalled a clear desire to mend ties with India, and the Indian Prime Minister has also sent a letter to him that was delivered by the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, who attended Rahman's oath-taking ceremony. Now, in his letter, the Indian Prime Minister has congratulated the Bangladeshi Prime Minister for the resounding victory and has expressed hope for better bilateral ties between the two nations. India has also invited Tariq Rahman for a visit. Now, both of Tariq Rahman's parents, remember, have served as Bangladesh's head of government. Ziaur Rahman and Khalida Zia had collectively ruled Bangladesh for well over 15 years. Now, Ziaur Rahman was a military ruler who served as the president of Bangladesh from 1977 till his assassination in 1981. And a decade after Ziaur Rahman's death, it was Khalida Zia who rose to power and became the country's first woman head of government in 1991. Her term was followed by 5 years of Sheikh Hasina's rule, but she staged a comeback again in 2001 and served as the country's prime minister till 2006. Now, Tariq Rahman has now got the baton in Bangladeshi politics. And we earlier spoke with journalist Mohammad Zahidur Rabi from Dhaka. Listen to what he had to say.
Tariq Rahman was elected as an MP for the first time from Dhaka 17 and Bogura 6, and he has become the new Prime Minister of Bangladesh. Alongside Tariq Rahman, the senior leaders and some of the young faces of BNP has also joined in the cabinet. For example, the General Secretary of BNP, Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir, he has become the local. He has become the minister of the local ministry. The Khalilur Rahman, who was also in the interim government, he has become the foreign minister in technocrat. Also, notably, Ehsanul Haq Milon, he has become the education minister. He was also the education minister back in the previous regime of BNP. Now, and also Ishaq Hussain, he has become the state minister for the Liberation War Ministry. He's a really young and really fresh face in the party.
The former US presidential candidate and the former First Lady and the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has slammed the Trump administration for what she claims is an Epstein cover-up. And these comments have come ahead of a congressional hearing where both Hillary Clinton and her husband, Bill Clinton, the former American president, are set to testify. Now, Hillary Clinton, interestingly, is accusing Donald Trump's administration of orchestrating a cover-up and also slow-walking on the Epstein files. And so far, the American Justice Department has released over 3 million files related to Epstein, and the files have shed light on former President Bill Clinton's ties with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Now, this picture that you're seeing on your screens is of Bill Clinton dressed in a satin dress of a woman, which apparently hung very prominently in Jeffrey Epstein's house. Now, the former first couple have been ordered to appear for a closed-door deposition. This is interesting, a closed-door deposition before the House Oversight Committee. The committee is probing Epstein's connections to powerful figures, including the gentleman dressed in women's clothing on your screens. Now, Hillary Clinton says that she and her husband Bill have got nothing to hide and that they have repeatedly called for the release of all files related to Jeffrey Epstein, with whom they've been associated in the past. Now, the American Department of Justice has said that there are no more files and everything that was there has been released. But Hillary Clinton has said that the Republicans are probing her in an effort to deflect attention away from Donald Trump, whose name is also mentioned in the files many, many times, just like Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton's name is. It is important to note that Bill Clinton has never been accused of any criminal wrongdoing in connection with Epstein, but maintains a well-documented friendship with the disgraced sexual offender in the 1990s and the early 2000s. Now, one's name in the files and a few photographs with Epstein do not mean that the person is involved in Epstein's sex crimes, but that surely puts the person under the scanner. Now, Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, high-profile connections, and also jailhouse suicide have made the case a magnet for a lot of conspiracy theorists and online sleuths who are seeking proofs of a potential cover-up. The United States is mourning the loss of one of its most prominent civil rights voices. Jesse Jackson, the Baptist minister activist and longtime champion of racial justice, has passed away at the age of 84. His family has confirmed his death in a statement on Tuesday, calling him a servant leader who stood not only for his family but for the oppressed, the voiceless and the overlooked around the world. A close associate of Martin Luther Jr., Jackson emerged from the segregated American South to become one of the most influential African-American figures of the late 20th century. For more than 5 decades, he had played a major role in the fight for equality, economic empowerment, and social justice for black Americans. He rose to prominence in the civil rights era, participating in demonstrations alongside Martin Luther King Jr. His activism spanned decades, including 2 runs for the Democratic presidential nomination in 1984 and 1988. Now, Jackson had been living with progressive supranuclear palsy for over a decade, a rare neurological disorder, and it also faced some serious health complications in recent years, including hospitalization due to COVID. The American President Donald Trump called Reverend Jesse Jackson a good man with lots of personality, grit, and street smarts in a tribute to the civil rights leader following his death. He was very gregarious, someone who truly loved people, Trump said in a post on his Truth Social platform. While the cause of his death has not been disclosed, tributes are pouring in for a man who spent his life at the front lines of America's struggle for civil rights. Now, Jesse Jackson leaves behind a legacy of activism, faith, and unwavering advocacy for justice. All right, and our correspondent Susan Tehrani is joining us over the phone line from New York. Susan, tell us more about activist Jesse Jackson and why he's so important in America.
You know, Jesse Jackson, he wasn't just a civil rights leader. I actually had an opportunity to interview him several times throughout the years, notably when he was running on the Democratic ticket. And he was one of the rare voices that tried to bring America closer to one another and Americans closer. He wasn't a divisive figure. He believed really in the force of good. He was a minister. He often brought God into his conversations. And we're seeing that now. He not only President Trump acknowledged him, which, a Republican president, but we're seeing acknowledgments and tributes coming in from figures like former Vice President Kamala Harris. So both sides of the aisle really saw him not as this figure that was towering opposition to the status quo, but more as an individual who tried to bring people together. His past about growing up in the Deep South and then moving past the struggles that African Americans had at that time and becoming a figure that made it without, family ties, without a legacy. He created his own legacy. He was respected, really, and a very, as I can say personally, a very kind person when you would talk to him. He wasn't radical at all. He was just sort of talking about core issues that not only African Americans face, but also just everyday, ordinary Americans face.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Susan Tehrani, for joining us with all those updates there. India is hosting this year's AI Impact Summit in the capital city, New Delhi, and the Indian Prime Minister inaugurated the event on Monday, and he's also spelled out India's goals for the future of AI. In an interview with the news agency Asia News International, the Prime Minister expressed India's ambition, saying that the goal should be to be in the top 3 AI superpowers globally. And he also stressed that India should not just be a superpower in the consumption of AI, but also in the creation of AI. And to do this, India has to be AI ready. And the Prime Minister said that the government has a strategy which aims to equip the Indian workforce with industry-relevant AI expertise. And he said that the government's focus areas so far have been healthcare, agriculture, education, and sustainable cities. Now, the Prime Minister said that AI is a tool that must be used for the good of humankind, and there are 2 major concerns when it comes to AI: its misuse and also its fears that it will take away jobs. Now, Prime Minister Modi addressed both these concerns during his interview. Now, regarding AI being used to make deep-fake videos, he mentioned India's new rules that require that all AI-generated content should be marked as such. And he's also advocated for global standards on AI safety. And as far as AI's potential to take jobs, he said that there is no reason to be afraid because India is already preparing for an AI-driven future. And he also highlighted the steps the government has taken to reskill the workforce. And he has reminded people that every major innovation has always been met with suspicion, but the fears have always been unfounded. The French President Emmanuel Macron's presidential term ends next year, but before he leaves power, Macron is allegedly making efforts to to keep his influence intact in the French administration. According to reports, the French president is appointing like-minded individuals in key positions of power, allegedly to create obstacles for a potential far-right president. Now, earlier in the month, Macron appointed France's 40-year-old budget minister Amélie de Montchalon as the head of France's Court of Auditors. She now has a guaranteed term until she turns 68. And apart from this, a major diplomatic reshuffle is also underway. Macron is expected to appoint about 16 new ambassadors in the coming months, including those who will serve in Washington, London, Berlin and Kiev. Now, the seat of the governor of the Bank of France is also vacant, and that means that the next governor appointed by Macron will be in office for most part of the next government's tenure. National Rally leader and the potential French presidential candidate Jordan Bardella has also lashed out at Macron for what he calls locking down French institutions. The Bardella says that Macron is making efforts to extend his influence beyond his presidency. And the latest appointments will reportedly challenge the far-right's vision for change in the French government. National Rally leader Marine Le Pen's candidacy for presidency is uncertain. She's facing a 5-year ban from contesting elections after an embezzlement conviction. A French court will deliver its verdict on her appeal in July. And according to the latest opinion polls, the far-right National Rally is likely to emerge as a front-runner for next year's presidential elections. Now, either Marine Le Pen or Jordan Bardella are the likely potential candidates for the presidency, and both leaders have already vowed to undo Macron's economic reforms and to pull back on the French commitments to the EU and the NATO military lines. All right, we'll slip into a short break now, but don't go anywhere. For on the other side, we'll get you details from Peru, where interim president Jose Jerry is facing an impeachment vote in the parliament. That's coming up next. Stay tuned.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Welcome back. Now, the British government has abandoned some controversial plans to delay the 30 council elections in England, and the U-turn comes after Nigel Farage-led Reform UK launched a legal battle, questioning its legality. The row centres on a plan that was approved by local government secretary Steve Reid to postpone the ballots until 2027. And the government has argued that the delay will help implement a major local government reorganisation, as restructuring will see some local authorities abolished after their term expires. But before the hearing on the case filed by Reform UK, the government has withdrawn its original decision. In a letter to council leaders, Reid confirmed that the government has withdrawn the plan. Reform UK's leader Nigel Farage declared victory on social media. He wrote, and I quote here, "We took this Labour government to court and won." Now, Farage, in fact, has accused Keir Starmer of trying to stop 4.6 million people from voting, claiming that the plan was clearly unlawful. The UK is holding local body elections on the 7th of May. 136 local governments in the United Kingdom will go to polls. And these include all the London borough councils, county councils, district councils and others. Overall, more than 5,000 local government seats will be headed for the hustings. And on to Peru now, where the fate of the interim president, Jose Jerry, hangs in balance. The South American country's Congress is all set to debate whether or not to impeach the interim president. Now, Jose Jerry, who is Peru's seventh head of state in 10 years, is accused of irregular hiring of several women in his government. A motion to oust Jerry has received support from dozens of lawmakers. Now, Jose Jerry has assumed office in October last year after former President Dina Boluarte was ousted by the lawmakers. And this was amidst protests against corruption and also a wave of violence linked to organized crime. Now, Jerry was appointed to serve out the remainder of Boluarte's term, which runs until July. A new president will now take over the following elections in April, but Jerry is constitutionally barred from seeking an election. Now, Jerry's alleged improper appointment was revealed by an investigative television program. It claimed 5 women were given jobs in the president's office and the Environment Ministry after visiting Jerry. Prosecutors spoke of a total of 9 women. Now, Jerry is also under investigation for an alleged illegal sponsorship of interests following a secret meeting with a Chinese businessman with commercial ties with the government. And ahead of the impeachment debate, Peruvians have voiced mixed concerns over